So with session 2 here, we have Ryan Witt, one of our judges from UCLA Biodesign. Ryan, did you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I guess for people who
didn't see it before.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
For anybody who didn't hear before. So I'm the hub director of UCLA's Biodesign Digital Health and Medtech Innovation Hub. I'm also a member, a member of Tech Coast Angels Los Angeles and a periodic angel investor. And for background on Tech Coast Angels, it's one of the largest angel investment groups in the world. We have over 450 members, one of the most active. We invested in over 64 early stage companies last year, investing over $20 million. So if you think about a fund that invests $100 million over a 5-year horizon, $20 million a year is quite active for an early stage kind of seed stage group. We've also revamped our process to make decisions in what we target to be around 30 days. So we try to move quickly. Very excited to kind of have that hat on and hear the presentations today.
Awesome, thanks, Ryan. And we also have one of our esteemed judges, Bud Bishop from Pasadena Bio.
Hi,
Bud,
how are you? Good to see you all. I am the president of Pasadena Bio, and I've been there for more than 5 years. I really enjoy what I'm doing. I believe that our incubator has some significant differentiation, that it's very low cost, has a very wide range of shared use equipment, and a great track record in helping very small companies. More than 50% of the companies that have started with us have actually left to get bigger. I look forward to the panel today and being able to help make sure it's successful.
Excellent, thank you, Bud. So I think we'll move into our first presentation. To briefly summarize the format, fairly simple. We'll have about 3-minute presentations from the companies, followed by 9 minutes of Q&A, initially from the judges. And if any audience members have questions, feel free to put them in the chat box as you have, and we'll get to them. Provided we have time, we'll do our best to. Certainly, if not, we can direct you to the company and connect you there so you can discuss further. And I'll do my best to keep everybody on schedule here, allowing for people to wrap up, of course. So with that, our first presenter of session 2 is ACatechol, Colby.
Hi, should I share my screen to present?
Feel free, please, yes.
Okay. Okay, my name is Colby. I'm a CEO of ACatechol, and ACatechol provides anti-biofouling and antimicrobial coating technology that is inspired by nature, like marine sessile organisms. And hospital-acquired infections cost millions of lives and billions of dollars globally. And US alone, 60,000 deaths of Americans each year are directly related to hospital-acquired infections. And that can occur through the contact transmission on any surface in the hospital, like medical devices or catheters or on the bed or door handles, etc. And state-of-the-art doesn't provide a solution. Is the contact transmission when they use sanitizer and disinfectant. It's only effective for a few seconds after killing the germ on the surface. And when people are, there are state-of-the-art antimicrobial coating, but the coating takes hours to kill germs. So it's not really meaningful at all. And on coatings on catheters, they use platinums or silver nanoparticle coating that are too expensive. So almost nobody using it, and it's potentially toxic and not very effective. But our solution, the contact transmission, the coating that we developed, funded by NSF, we killed all the germ, including SARS-CoV-2 in 15 seconds, and it is effective for 48 hours. And For catheter infection, our coating is inexpensive and non-toxic and orders of magnitude more effective than the state of the art. And this is a picture that shows the proof of concept of our disinfectant or sanitizer is clear out all the germs for 24 hours, while alcohol and hydrogen peroxide do not. And when we apply the coating on catheter, is covalently bonded on the silicone or other catheter materials, and is significantly reduced the biofilm over the more than 3 days. And again, this is very inexpensive technology. And this is how it works. We apply the coating that has cationic and also zero ionic charges. So it is not only repel all the germs, but also it kills when on contact. And the market is like huge, and for food packaging, 10 billion. The catheter itself alone is 45 billion, and it's only going to increase really fast. And also some cosmetics, 10 billion, surface disinfectant, 5 billion, antimicrobial textile for a mask or some gowns for hospital frontline workers, 10 billion, hand sanitizer, 4 billion, and antimicrobial biofouling coating for the sheep herds, a $15 billion market. Currently, our antimicrobial and anti-biofouling technology, like I said, funded by NSF, and we are on the clinical trial. And also we plan for Series A to acquire a small catheter company to get into the market. This is exciting market is because the size of the catheter market is like 45 billion, as big as like any pharmaceutical pharmaceutical ingredient, but it's only we just need to clear out the 510K category 2. And sanitizer disinfectant, we are FDA and EU registered. We're launching our own brand, and we're talking to other large leading distributors. And like I said, Frontliners are our beachhead customers, and our R&D is handled by me and Dr. David Ho, who is the inventor of the HIV cocktail in 1980s, have won presidential medal in 2001 and helping us to go to the market as he helped 3 or 4 other companies going to IPO. And Filippo and Eric Ryan has 30 years of experience in commercializing medical and dental devices. I'm happy to take any question now. I think it's been 3 minutes.
Great. No, that's very good. Thank you, Colby. As most companies, I'm sure you could go on for more. We just had another one of our judges join too. Pradnya, are you on? Hopefully.
Yes, sorry, my camera's having an issue. Let me fix that. Yeah, this is Pradnya Parulakar. I'm
Thank you
an
so
analyst
much.
with
Yeah, would you like to introduce yourself? Yeah, feel free.
Yes, I'm an analyst with Wavemaker 360. It's a premier Southern California fund that invests in medtech and disruptive healthcare technologies.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining. Hopefully you can get your camera worked out, but regardless, very, very happy to have you join and provide feedback for the companies. There you are. We see you now. Excellent. So would any judge like to go first with any questions?
I'd be glad to. Colby, you've chosen the antimicrobial catheters when your technology is basically broadly useful. How did you come to that? Was it simply the size of the market? Did you look at it in terms of how long it was going to take to get approved? What were the things that you were thinking about there?
Yeah, so catheter is like I said, is huge market, but compared to the regarding the market size, the regulation is relatively easy to pass. It's class 2, so we just need to pass the 510K. I have done clear the 510K with our dental product company named Envista Holdings that we licensed our bonding and debonding technology to them, and I have experienced a pretty straightforward process to clear the 510K, which is class 2. And but the size of the market is like as big as painkiller, like Tylenol and Advil combine everything those. So I was like, wow, this is like great market. Just making the simple silicon tube, that's the $50 billion market. And more interestingly, only the 70 to 80% of the catheter that use in the market are just regular silicon tubes that has no coating on it. So I think that's why like close to 100,000 Americans die each year. But before the pandemic, no one really pay attention to those people are dying in ICU, right? So so I think now is the time we need to address the people are dying in ICU. 30 to 40% of death in ICU are due to the secondary infection, not because of the disease itself.
So I had a question just in general about two things. One, how you apply this and who you're going to be partnering with, because I manufactured silicone tubes for catheters for about 5 years. So are you planning on selling this to a catheter manufacturer or to the raw resin supplier? And then how does it bond to the silicone? And just to confirm your market, I believe the ratio of silicone to a polyurethane catheter, there's a breakdown in the size of the market. So have you broken that down? And does your product apply to a non-silicone catheter? Because the bulk of the catheters in the US now, I'd say less than 50% are silicone.
I see. We have, it possibly can apply to polyurethane or PVC and PET. Any polymer has the oxygen on the surface, we can covalently bond to that. So, but we haven't tested on polyurethane or other material yet. But theoretically, it is possible to bind all other polymer that has oxygen on the surface. And the process is the plasma incubation, oxygen plasma, and then we dip and coat and dry. That's the process. It's relatively, I don't know, it's doable in the manufacturing, I believe.
So would you do that, or you're going to license it out to a coder?
I have spoken to Edward and Medtronics.
Mm-hmm.
And initially they have a strong interest in here, but like, you know, the large corporation, they normally don't move quickly, and until they have some threat on their, you know, on their market, right, market share. So I thought this is better strategy that we acquire a small catheter manufacturer and then start to getting into the market and start to thread their pipeline. Then we can start discuss. I'm sure that then they will have a stronger motivation to license our technology or acquire our company, our technology.
As a follow-up to that, you're doing a couple things. You're doing both a consumer hand sanitizer play, which is very interesting, and you're doing this catheter play. It's kind of playing in multiple different markets, which could, you know, have business units and be business units themselves and have teams around them themselves. And you also mentioned raising money from strategic investors in your kind of application. I was wondering if you wouldn't mind sharing some of the strategic kind of partners. If it's confidential and you want to keep it confidential, I think that's fine. But I'm curious how you plan to navigate going after these multiple markets. You're speaking about acquiring a manufacturer. Usually that's from a well-funded kind of strategic type of company. So I'm curious to know more.
Oh, so hand sanitizer and disinfectant, in the US, you know, just to put our name on the market, we just manufacture the simple, you know, hand sanitizer. And initially it's for me and family and friends, because we know this works way better than others, and it's water-based, so it doesn't dry your skin at all. And then our investors, initial angel investor and co-founders has a long history of commercializing, consumer products also. So they helped me to just make it and then list on the Amazon. I didn't spend too much time on that. They have their team and helped. And also one of their friends and associate for their own companies in Europe helped us to register in EU is because it seems EU registration is much straightforward than US registration for disinfectant. It's like way more simpler. So, and then the European associate has a lot of connection to tourism and airport and those industries. So she said, just give me that technology, then I can distribute. So she is a distributor, and she's finding all the manufacturing companies there, and then she take care of all the European business, the Europe business there for sanitizer and disinfectant. It's only in the beginning, and then we didn't really discuss about how we split the benefit yet. But we will get to that in the near future. Yeah. And catheters, like you said, is not going to, our own manufacturing is not an easy step to get into. However, like I said, based on the discussion with Medtronic and Edward, they seemed to not move until we thread their pipeline. So, and then I found many small catheter manufacturers, and they're making the silicone tubes. So I thought we can acquire those company and add a simple, using their current sales, sales pipeline, and also using their current manufacturing line, just adding the last step of the coating, which is relatively simple. And also many companies are using plasma treatment and dip and coat and drying method for their other products. So we can apply that at the end of the catheter manufacturing, then try to expand their current customers.
Sure.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I continue to update our technology and our business to Medtronic and Edward to see.
Yeah. You don't necessarily have to compete. You can help. Yeah. Excellent. And then one last comment from the audience as we're out of time is a suggestion to do the ISO 10993 compatibility studies if you haven't already, from Paul Stein. But we are out of time. Perhaps you all can connect and discuss that further. But great presentation, Colby.
Yeah, I mean we have done all those ISO tests. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, using third-party labs. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, excellent. Well, great presentation, and best of luck to you and the company, Colby.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have BioZipper, George Anowini, the second. Is that right?
Yep, Dr.
Excellent.
George Ajir Anowini the second.
Yeah,
so
please
I'm just
feel
going
free to share your slides.
Go ahead and share my screen here. Let's see how this goes. All right, excellent. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your time. So here I'm here to present the BioZipper, a better way to promote healing after surgery. Now let's see if this works. Come on. So, due to congenital factors or acquired tissue trauma, over 150 Americans per year undergo some form of urethroplasty or bladder reconstruction. Of these individuals, over 50% of these individuals experience some form of complication or costly readmission. These complications and readmissions are due to a variety of different factors, including scar formation, urine flow issues, inadequate vascularization, urine leak, infection, or inadequate localized wound tension. As we did a customer discovery trial, we discovered that decreased complications and readmissions were the top priority of stakeholders across the medical spectrum. Thus, we decided to make a product that would both reach a clinical need and a market need, and that's the BioZipper. The BioZipper is a surgical device that reinforces the extensive suture lines in urethral and urinary tract reconstructions to decrease the total rate of complications and readmissions by approximately 20%. The BioZipper is a biodegradable, flexible device with a flexible backbone that's tuned to the mechanical characteristics of the tissue to which to be applied, a bioadhesive, and a mechanism for pulling the two aspects together across the closure line. The BioZipper meets surgeons' needs because of it's a biodegradable device that will facilitate epithelial inversion, minimize urine leak, and eliminate regions of localized tissue tension. Now, we anticipate we're going to be entering a surgical closure market of over $11 billion, with approximately $1 billion being in the urinary tract market. With our initial beachhead market, we anticipate with academic hospitals an obtainable market of approximately $50 million. While there are other surgical closures on the market, the BioZipper can be easily applied. It will distribute tension across the closure site and will be biodegradable, meaning that there will be no need to remove it and will not be a source for secondary infection or stone formation. Although we are still early in the development of the BioZipper, we have already acquired our provisional patents and submitted a full patent application. And part of our next steps would be to acquire further grant funding from the NSF and NIH in terms of SBIR, STTR funding. As we go to market, we will intend to go through a Class 2 510(k) exemption through the FDA, and we will seek early partnerships with larger surgical device companies to expedite our initial clinical trials and leverage their market penetration. We have an interdisciplinary team with strong connections between UCLA and the Terasaki Institute for Biomedical Innovation. And we anticipate with small modifications of the device, we can explore further markets of surgical closures and reconstruction. At this point, I'd like to open up the floor for questions.
Have you,
Thank you, Dr. Hanawini. Yeah, thank you very much. Do any judges want to go first?
sure, I'd be glad to. A
free,
quick
Doug.
question, in terms of development of this product that you've described very well, and I'm very happy to see, did market research on before you started working. Where are you in the development process right now?
We are optimizing the bioadhesive and the backbone of the device.
Follow up on that. What are you optimizing for?
We're optimizing for adhesion. We already have a backbone material selected with polyglycerol sabicate that's extremely tunable, that can be modified to various different factors. We are still just trying to get an appropriate bioadhesive so that we can push this forward to the next step of animal trials.
Have you, it was a really good presentation. For
Thank
this
you.
type of device, is it customizable per surgery, or is it one that the practicing physician has to customize in the room per
Well,
patient?
we anticipated that it's going to be a set of devices that the surgeon might use, maybe up to like 4 per surgery. However, a part of our development, once we have the adhesive and the backbone secured, is trying to work with surgeons to find what form factor will work best for their specific surgical field.
And
So
is
that
the adhesive, I'm sorry, is the adhesive something that you are creating from scratch that you're trying to come up with, or are you trying to find off-the-shelf items to modify?
Right now, we're attempting to create from scratch, but finding off-the-shelf items might be a secondary method if the from scratch will take too long.
Do you plan to have this be used in multiple closure techniques outside of the one that you presented?
Eventually, yes. I mean, we starting with a relatively small market because we feel we could get better penetration right away. But this could be, I can see with small modifications that this could easily be used for other internal surgical closures in the GI tract and what have you.
And how long will this product remain in the body?
We're thinking about 6 to 8 weeks. And again, one of my colleagues reminded me that this would be something that would be used, that could be easily used with robotic surgery as well.
So then have you thought about the regulatory strategy you would partake with? It sounds like a Class 3 device.
This is something that I think we should look more into. though.
Yeah.
We feel that this would be biodegradable, and we can also tune the length of time that would take to degrade.
Yeah, definitely engage the regulatory person on that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for feedback on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's invasive, 510K may not be the one.
I guess is the 510K predicated on some other device that's in the market today?
We were looking at biodegradable sutures as one of the main 510K predicates. But if necessary, we might have to go de novo.
That makes sense. I think, depending, it seems like to your earlier point, it sounds like it's multiple components.
Yes.
So, maybe the adhesion component may be de novo, or maybe I had a friend who had together, it was a novel device, but he ended up filing 3 separate 510Ks and then getting it marketed on the 3 separate ones rather than going with the de novo, which was quite interesting. So if you can take that path, I recommend it based on observing his wonderful past.
That's
that
very
also
interesting.
lends
Thank you.
some credibility to maybe getting off the shelf adhesives. If something already has the industry credibility to it, then your regulatory pathway just becomes that much smoother.
Okay, thank you.
And you could still apply for like a design patent instead, a combination.
I don't know the space as much, but I know that breakthrough status is pretty coveted right now. I'm not sure if there's an indication where this device can be applicable for it, but I know that often you may get fast to market and have some regulatory benefits if you could find an indication where it was relevant. So that's one other thought to kind of consider.
So other indications within the market?
Other indications of the market where this can be useful for a closure technique where, it might get breakthrough status. It may be eligible for breakthrough status specifically.
I would second that, because if you'll get it faster and sooner if you had to close something that's unclosable, and then you could pivot to something else that was more generic, let's say.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, any other questions? I think someone's asking about the final sterilization step, I think, or is that from an old question? Maybe, but yeah, that would also, the final sterilization would be something that would be determined after we completely optimize the materials within the biozipper. So that's a little bit later on down the line with development, and that's definitely something we need to think about when we're thinking about packaging and shelf life and everything like that.
How much are you targeting to raise from the SBIR STTR?
Could you repeat, please?
Yeah, how much are you looking to raise, and what milestone are you looking the SBIR to get you to?
We are still looking to develop the exact numbers on that. We would probably want to have the SBIR help with the initial clinical trials. But also we are looking at the NSF PFI right now. We're actually going through the application cycle that's due in like a few weeks. And so we're going to try to get that done so we can continue to push forward our development.
Exciting. I'm not a clinician, but I'm curious if this can be used for potentially like bowel perforations, potentially. Or
I don't see any reason why that would be inappropriate. I think right now, yes. So the short answer is yes, this can be modified for bowel use as well. In fact, with the neobladder, we're actually going to be combining bowel to bowel in terms of bladder reconstruction. So once it's designed for neobladder reconstruction, it could be used for bowel tissue as well. So we're evaluating bowel is the short answer.
Great.
Sounds good. Well, great presentation. Are there any other final questions or comments? I think we went through a lot of very important topics here, and hopefully the feedback was helpful for you.
Thank you so much.
I think it's very, very exciting work. Thank you for it.
Thank you.
Excellent. Next up, we have eLysis. And the presenter is Jun Yu.
Hello.
Hi.
Let's
Feel free
see.
to share your slides. Yeah.
All right, here we go. Hello, my name is Jun Yu, CEO of eLysis. We are commercializing low-cost office-based precision body and facial contouring devices for aesthetics market. This table summarizes the unmet need in the current aesthetic solutions. At the smallest scale, facial skin injectable segment is very well established at $15 billion. On the other end, non-invasive bulk fat reduction segment is now estimated at $1.5 billion in US alone. However, there is an unmet need for spot treatments of small fat pockets and facial contouring. To address this product gap, we have developed the ELF. ELF stands for electrochemical lysis of fat. ELF is a needle-based approach that can achieve spatial resolution of a few millimeters. Each procedure takes only about 15 minutes of office visits and has minimal downtime for patients. Also, the startup cost for providers is much lower than competitors, which cost between $50,000 and $100,000. To validate this procedure, we apply the ELF to the flanks of a 200-pound pig. After 5-minute treatments, we were able to create linear dimples simulating six-pack abs. Next step is to test safety and feasibility in acute human study. Currently, we have 2 issued method patents and 2 CIPs to extend the life of these patents. We currently have option agreement with UC Irvine for the skin and fat applications. Here is the competitive landscape in the body contouring segment. In comparison, ELF can offer very fine spatial selectivity through focal injury, comparable to that of liposuction and facelifting. But most importantly, ELF can be offered at a very affordable cost for the physicians. We will generate revenue from sales of ELF system and disposable applicators. Using the ballpark pricing given here, and assuming 25% market share, we estimate the annual revenue for the ELF will reach at least $200 million in about 5 years. We are very optimistic that the ELF will see a fast adoption among the physicians and medical spas, thanks to its low pricing for spot treatments. Currently, our team is technically very strong and hope to add more business expertise as we move towards commercialization. I'm a biomedical engineer by training. Dr. Wong is a renowned facial plastic surgeon. Professor Hill is an expert in electrochemistry. Dr. Yolin is an ophthalmologist with many years of clinical trials, including Matisse. Here's our development timeline. Phase 1 involves device optimization and pilot human study. In phase 2, we hope to obtain full IDE approval. In phase 3, we'll finish pivotal human trial and obtain 510(k). Here's our funding needs and exit strategy going forward. Thank you for listening.
Great. Thank you so much for the presentation. Would any judge like to go first with any questions or comments?
I'll go first. First of all, I have a comment. Was that pig the envy of everyone on the farm if he had those rock hard abs? Just kidding. Or
Yes,
is it
actually,
not?
it was very popular among other pigs.
Okay. So this device, who would be administering this? Does it need, what type of training is required compared to the other devices?
The first market will be for the plastic surgeons who are skilled with liposuction or using any other, I guess, semi-invasive devices. And as the technology progresses, we can add a little more software control for the dosimetry. So it will be expanded to the nurse practitioners as well as assistants in medical spas.
But how does it work with the skin tightening using this
You're talking about different skin types?
No, it said, I think I saw in your, no, it wasn't your financial projections. I think it was
skin tightening. Oh, okay.
Skin tightening,
So
yeah.
The device it's sort of a souped up version of a microneedles. And as you know, microneedles have been used for many years for skin tightening, as well as rejuvenating scars.
So is this this is taking those electroneedles. I guess help me understand the solution. So you're taking these needles and then you're adding an electrochemical component to them?
Yes.
you're
So
coating them,
basically,
or how does it work?
electrolysis, electrochemistry results in production of acid and base at two different electrodes. So you're creating a local pH change, which leads to a better, let's say, killing of cells, as well as a little more control spatially, temporally, as well as in terms of dosimetry, better control quantitatively for the physicians to deliver just the right amount of tissue modifications.
Do I understand correctly that the applications that you'll will be for smaller surfaces and more, if you will, artistic work on faces and things like that?
Correct.
And this pilot study, do you have the design for that pilot human study yet drafted, and what's that going to look like if you have it drafted?
The first, for the safety, we would recruit patients who are going tummy tucks. We'll basically have removed tissue. So that would be the first safety study. Second is the acute treatments, where we apply the treatments to these patients who will be undergoing tummy tuck. So if there's any potential complications, we will avoid a long-term effect. And once the safety and initial feasibility is proven effective, then we can extend it to a larger studies where we'll monitor the patients over 3 months to see the effects of the lipolysis.
What? Oh, go ahead. Pardon me.
But I was just going to ask, where are you? So at the stage you're at now, you have manufactured prototype devices, or are they proof of concept? Where are you? Or is this a lab test that still has to become a device?
It's a lab test, but the technology is fairly simple. So we could go into a sort of feasibility study with the FDA, and we hope to be able to raise the funding so we can accelerate the development of the commercial version. So in terms of the technical part, we've already solved the issues of engineering.
I was going to make a suggestion on team there. I think it was the ex-head of external innovation or when Allergan got bought, there were a lot of very senior people that moved on, or when they merged. So I'd recommend maybe getting someone from there on your team. I think they may be super helpful.
Yeah, we've had actually a lot of success in terms of getting the looks from the large strategic partners. We had meetings with the Philips R&D. We are sort of looking into different ways around and talking to the Allergan and AbbVie group as well. And we have some connections with MERS, and hopefully we can establish a sort of long-term relationship with them as well.
And I see limited beta product launch in Asian markets. Do you have patents in China and in Korea and all these other markets?
Yeah, we're looking into more of the Korean market as well as Japan. Obviously, the patents in China is sometimes not as effective. And my connection is Korea, and Korea actually has the highest per capita in terms of plastic surgery, particularly for the face. And the lipolysis procedure is becoming really, really popular over there, as well as part of the package provided to the patients who are seeking minor plastic surgeries.
And so that's a yes to you have patents in Korea, but not in China?
Right.
Okay, sounds good.
We have a question from the audience, whether the technology can be applied. The words are turkey necks, but I think it's the submental region might be the
yes, the droopy necks. Well, the problem with the turkey necks is there excessive fat, excessive skin. So hopefully we can do tightening and rejuvenation, but we won't be able to get rid of a large amount of skin left over after the fat reduction. And this is a problem for all the other lipolysis technologies as well.
You can tighten, but it's not a biopsy, right?
Right.
Great. Great. Any other questions from our judges or the audience, if you can type very quickly?
I guess when you've
You've
spoken
got
to
a
these,
very aggressive
Go for
developmental plan in terms of time. You're going to do it somewhere between 2 and 3 years, if I read the chart correctly.
Yes, and that's the amount of time our competitors have taken in terms of getting the product out in the market. And I believe the longer time will be in terms of the getting through the marketing, as in getting the product in the hands of the customers in the first 2 years.
Okay.
And I believe that because of the simplicity of the product, because it's just electrical power source, DC power source, and a controller device.
one question on you spoke to a lot of strategics that you mentioned. Have you spoken to any kind of value add venture groups or strategic BD partners on milestones they'd like to see before they came in and partnered with you or invested in you?
Not yet. We are preparing a talk with them. So we're still sorting out some of the issues in terms of getting clinical studies done. Because of COVID, we've been delayed, and initially we wanted to go outside the US and get a kind of quick human study, pilot study done, but we weren't able to do that. So we're working on that.
Is that quick human study still in plan once we open the borders a little more?
Yes. So we have contacts in India, Brazil, and in Korea, and it's relatively difficult to get any clinical studies done in Korea. To the contrary of what a lot of people think.
Do you anticipate that you might have to put some anesthesia on to take away pain as you go through this?
Yes, right. So it will have pain. We haven't done an extensive study of how much pain it will be, but it can be easily addressed with the lidocaine, a topical anesthetic agent.
Okay.
Very interesting. Very interesting work. I'd be interested once you do some quick human proof of concept. I think it's interesting. It's a big market. I know it is big.
It
market.
is big.
Well, I'm taking the list of names to be volunteers for the first study.
Plenty of names for you. Don't worry. It's a large market, no pun intended. So
Everybody's going to want to go to the beach, right?
That's
Summertime and COVID's ending.
Right. Hopefully the whole changes with the COVID situation. We're hoping to see a little more investment as well as more market opening up for the aesthetics.
as you're
intervention.
moving from the engineering lab test to a more human factor engineered a portable console, I would engage a proper design house to create something very unique. Right now, those machines all look very clinical. And so it's very unattractive for patients. They feel like they're coming in for anything. So if there's a way, if your technology allows, I think one way to get ahead would to be this a little bit more consumer friendly, even though a physician's using it, just so that it doesn't look so medical.
Yes, I am with you on that. So actually, speaking of the consumer market, eventually the technology can be reduced in a similar fashion. The laser is now being used for home care, like laser hair removal, which took about 25 years to go from the lab to the consumer level. And I think we can accelerate our progress a lot faster to hopefully bring the product to home, as a home care in about 10 years. It'll be a matter of getting the proper dosimetry and as well as safety mechanism built in to prevent potential maluse or abuse by the consumers.
Perfect. All right. Well, very, very good presentation. We are a little bit past time here, but thank you so much, and best of luck to you.
Well, thank you.
Great. Next up, we have SAAVI and Tina Bernstein. I think you might be on mute, Tina. There you go.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, and yes, we can. And feel free to share your slides and begin at your convenience.
Okay, I really appreciate the help too with the technology. So thank you. I'm Tina. I'm the founder and president, and I'm going to be giving a brief overview of our SAAVI device for premature babies. So thanks again for this wonderful opportunity. So in the United States, actually 1 in 10 babies are born too early, and many of them don't have their lungs developed properly, and they need medicine that's called surfactant, which is it's really, really difficult for even an experienced neonatologist to get this medicine into the tiny, tiny anatomy of the baby. And it takes a lot of training. It's a really difficult skill for them to have and to maintain. So what we did was we've actually engineered a device that's a very simple and easy to use device. Even a normie like me can do it, although it's meant for doctors. And you don't even need a laryngoscope, which is of note because usually the laryngoscope is held by another person, or you need another pair of hands. So we have this really quick and simple device. And
so Tina, are you still
device.
trying to share slides here? Just wanted to let
Yes,
you know we can't.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, we're unable to see them.
Oh, I'm
Share your
trying to
screen.
share. I'm sharing the slide right now. I am terribly sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
How do oh wait!
I
Oh
would
God,
suggest-
I'm so sorry. I didn't click share screen, and
Got
I
it.
am
Sometimes you have to
so
hit
sorry.
the OK button, or yeah. Awesome.
Okay, can you see it now? Can you see my screen now?
Not yet.
Oh man, this Chromebook. Okay, let's.
Oh, there we
try
go. I think it's
again.
starting to.
Now
Yeah,
can you
okay.
see
Yep.
it?
Yeah, we can.
All right. Okay, we're just gonna power on through here. I'm not a Luddite. It's just sometimes the new technologies get to me. Anyway, so the good news is we have this device that even normal people like me can use, and it's meant for doctors though. And so what's really interesting about it is that it's a single-use disposable device. It's meant to be something that can be used all over the world. But here in the United States, the serviceable addressable market would be, any preemie baby that needs this lung medicine. And but the attainable market, it's actually very close to the addressable market, would be these community hospitals, because they often don't have a neonatologist. If you're familiar with the term NICU, that's a neonatal intensive care unit. Well, there's different levels, and one of our co-investigators, Dr. Rehan, he is a neonatologist, and he's actually in charge of the level 4 NICU at Harbor UCLA Hospital. But in a community setting, level 2 NICU, they don't necessarily have somebody like that. They might have, the pediatrician may or may not be able to dose the baby with the surfactant. And the reason it's so important is this really is life-saving. If the baby can't make, the oxygen exchange in the lungs, the baby's going to pass away. So to be able to do this in a community hospital setting, even if they're trying to stabilize the baby, get it to a tertiary medical center, it'll be, it's a game changer. And we currently are applying for a breakthrough application with the FDA. We've already had one meeting with their Office of Orphan Product Development, and we have the breakthrough application drafted. And so the company has been around for about 10 years. I mentioned I was the founder. I've commercialized medical devices several times. I always did it with private investment, and this is the first time we've had government grants. And we are very proud and happy to say we've got a phase 1 STTR, and the Lundquist Institute is our co-investigators, our partners in this. We have a Department of Defense contract now too, to make an adult rescue airway. That's a whole nother subject. I'll get into that privately offline. And we went through NIH I-Corps. We've had some seed funding from the CTIP program at Children's Hospital LA. And all of these things allowed us to make the functional prototypes. So I'm just gonna finish up by saying what we're looking for is we really would love to have an angel round, and that'll help us get to phase 2, NIH phase 2 clinical trials. The NIH phase 2 is about $2 million, which would be a real nice return on your investment, because we just really are looking for around $450,000 to help us get to these phase 2 clinical trials. And again, I mentioned that the Department of Defense contract is to make an adult rescue airway.
Great. Great. Thank you, Tina. Would you like to share your first slide while we have some questions, since you weren't able to share that one?
Sure. The very first one. These are kind of boring slides, so, but I'm happy to go back to it.
Okay, I
There's a
wasn't
cute
sure if it
little
was
baby.
like the device itself or something, but
I'll show you the device. I actually set up here, I wanted to show you, can you see my screen? Can you see me? I've got to start visiting again.
yeah, I think
Okay.
you're sharing us.
There you are.
Okay, here we go.
We,
Okay. So we have something here. It's a sterile, not for human use. I happen to be a regulatory expert also, so we have pretty good handle on the regulatory stuff. But here is a functional prototype.
Okay.
And in fact, tomorrow I'm driving to Temecula, where it's 100 degrees, and I'm going to try and see if we can get our next prototype built up, because we need to make one that's for a little bit size larger. But this one is working, and see this little part here? That's a 3D printed part. This is a really inexpensive, quick way to make sure that the measurements are correct. I'm a biomedical engineer. We have a simulator. This unfortunate little simulator is the size of a premature baby. And we validated our prototype on the benchtop, and we can ventilate this little guy.
Cool.
And there's another cohort of babies that are bigger. So that's why I'm going to get some more prototypes built. I'm going to go
Great.
into that tomorrow.
Great. Well, let's get to the judges' questions. I'm sure there's a few. Who'd like to go first?
In one of the diagrams on your website, you show how it is applied. First putting in the tube and then blowing it up, etc. But it also includes a nasal CPAP. Is that pretty much a standard requirement for preemies in this situation?
Yes, they would need to do that. The current gold standard is to intubate the baby, and they start nasal CPAP immediately, because that's helping get some oxygen into the baby while they are intubating the baby.
you have the product slide that shows all of it together. You have a product slide that maybe shows everything kind of working together, but maybe.
We have a video. We have the video that's posted in the deal room, and the
It's this
video
one
is
here.
great.
Yeah, do you have
Yeah.
that? Can you share? Can you show, just for the people in the audience who didn't see that, because I didn't think that you had a chance
Oh,
to
I
share
don't
that.
have that slide. I don't have
Okay,
that
no
slide
worries.
up here.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
It does help to understand, though. It
Yes.
really does. Yeah. This is an incredibly clever idea. And
The NIH reviewer said it's ingenious, and it's all Dr. Chang. It's Dr. Roy King Chang. He invented it.
wonderful.
Is there pricing for this procedure that this would be tacked on to as a breakthrough?
Yeah.
Device?
Okay. So the way that the procedure works is there's a CPT code for surfactant administration by a doctor.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if you guys are familiar, but in California, there's a law that requires all the hospitals to make their charge masters public. So I managed to get a hold of a charge master for Modesto Children's Hospital, and the surfactant administration by a physician procedure code, the reimbursement's about $1,200 per incident, and these babies may need 2 or 3 doses of surfactant. And so we also, though, we had a good interview with Children's Hospital Los Angeles, their revenue vice president, and it's a really complicated reimbursement, because there's a diagnosis related group, And it depends on the level of severity of the baby. Some of these babies that are born early, they have multiple, comorbidities. So we believe that, we could make a really good case for a value proposition. That's actually one of the endpoints of the phase 2 clinical trial that we want to propose, is to also have, financial outcomes counted.
Remind me again, what's the total amount of babies that you'd imagine to get this per year?
It's anywhere from 50,000 on up. And the reason I say on up is that, unfortunately, the rate of premature babies being born is going up every year. And there's a paper, I think I actually posted it. Some of the rural hospitals have had their funding cut so much that mothers that don't get prenatal care, unfortunately, are the ones that have most of these preemies. And the rural-urban gap is only growing, and some of the obstetrics practices in rural areas are closing. And so we believe that there's up to, it's probably more than 50,000, but that's a conservative guess.
I guess one comment, this is something that I always mention to entrepreneurs, particularly in the healthcare space. I'm not sure just the break, I did a quick kind of breakdown of the numbers, thinking if you're profiting maybe, $1,000 or, $1,500 times 50,000. I mean, so some products in healthcare aren't necessarily, $100+ million year revenue business. So, I'm not sure what question, I guess, what valuation are you guys trying to raise on now? And that's one thing to just consider when you're raising an early stage round, because all of us investors kind of have our internal mandates that we're trying to hit, essentially.
Yeah, I know the pediatric market's smaller. Now, bear in mind, the 50,000 babies, we do recommend that they very often do need to have 2 or 3 doses of surfactant. So, we can multiply by 3, it's about 150,000 devices. And then, of course, I know it's a smaller market. We do also have this adult rescue airway, which is a very large market. And I didn't go into it today because we just got this. We're also the proud recipients of a phase 1 SBIR from the Air Force, from the Department of Defense. And it's to build a rescue airway, and basically the exact same method that we use for these baby-sized devices, we are proposing to build, adult rescue airways. Now, that's also a competitive market, it's mature, but we had a market study done. We've actually had we've had a foresight report. There's a place called Center for Advancing Innovation that did a market study for us. And especially in Asia, there's actually very strong growth for these types of airway, disposable airway devices. So that might be a bright spot, but it's new. This is something new for us. We just recently went through the AFWorks 20.3 cohort. Like, we finished it last week and uploaded the technical volume. So
that's really interesting. And what are you guys raising on valuation rise now? If you don't mind sharing, otherwise. What are you guys trying to raise?
What I did put in the government was, we're trying to see about getting an angel round right now. And the angel round is primarily to get us to phase 2 clinical trials. So we really would love to have around $450,000. And within, a year, we could get to a phase 2 NIH clinical trial, which would be $2 million. So that's really, I know it's small, but, this isn't super risky. I mean, we have these prototypes. They've been validated, at least, I'm actually the engineer that, built this. And it's a very well-documented methodology. So as I have a friend who's an accountant and he's worked for startups, and he told me a few months ago, hey, Tina, if you told me I was going to put in around 400,000 and I was going to get a couple million back, I'd be happy. But I mean, I know the pediatric market is a smaller market, but we really appreciate the opportunity to present this today. I don't know if it's, all you can do is put it out there and show people.
Yeah, and just to color it on a different note. I mean, look, like you do mention very positives as far as the adult market. So I mean, so it's not uncommon, you know, for startups to enter a small market and then go after a big market once they become cash flow positive. So, you know, or to expand indications. So it's not I don't mean to be the negative person here, you know, but you know, I think it was a great point that you made, that there is that adult market, which you know, I didn't, you know, could be completely different numbers.
Yeah, and you know, the beautiful thing about this breakthrough device application for the pediatric device, it really truly is a breakthrough, and we are hopeful that we can get through that process in the next 12 to 18 months. I'm real concerned. I really am a regulatory expert. I've done multiple FDA filings, so I don't overpromise on that. So it's going to be 12 to 18 months. But once we have it, when you have a breakthrough device designation, we can use the pediatric device as the predicate for an adult device, 510K. And because it's a breakthrough, there's automatic reimbursement from CMS. So, you know, when you talk about the valuation, this is so new. You know, even if I feel like you guys are all my new best friends, right? And I really am an engineer, and I would love to stay in touch with you. And, you know, if you invest, that's great. If not, if you could maybe give me suggestions, I really would appreciate it. And again, I really thank you for your time today.
Angel market should be a good place for you if you're looking for just 400.
Yeah, well, I would love to have just 400. I got to tell you, we've gotten about 375 so far, non-diluted. But man, when you talk about medical devices, that's the coffee money. You know, that's nothing.
Well, I think your breakthrough classification will make them very happy. They want to turn money around as quickly as they can.
Yeah, and if you know some angels, you put us in, or, you know, family offices, anything like that. Especially, you know, there's some families that have been affected by having a preemie baby, and I got to tell you, it's a very emotional kind of a thing. I try to be very straightforward and factual about everything, but it is truly, you know, it really tugs at your heart.
Yep.
A wonderful invention.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
And yeah, and my family's actually one of them. My daughter was born at 30 months, so I know firsthand the importance of getting surfactant quickly to the lungs. It's the most important thing right away. So
yeah,
would love to connect. I'm just the moderator here and Pat guy, but you know, I'd love to connect offline and see how we can help you from the firm's perspective.
Yeah, how old is your daughter now?
She's now 3 and very healthy. So it's great. Yeah.
Our COO, my partner Zach, he's an equity partner, but his little daughter is 3 years old. So.
Great.
And he's got a little boy. He's got a 1-year-old boy. So
there you go. Yeah.
And our co-investigators, Dr. Chang, the inventor, Dr. Rehan, Lundquist. I mean, I thank God every day that I'm very
absolutely.
lucky to work with
them.
Yeah, I am absolutely.
Great presentation, great area. Opportunity to scale it to the older folks as well, which is great. So thank you very much, and let's connect offline, and best of luck to the company.